It's us again. We're just going to continue on with blue. Of course, this is only commons and uncommons in Rivals of Ixalan. I'm sure you guys are as excited as we are to, this is just like the end of preview season, and we just want to be as prepared as possible going into pre-release. So yeah, this is kind of a pre-release primer, but we're also talking about standard viability sometimes. But yeah, let's just dive headfirst into this. Let's just dive headfirst into this, guys. All right. So starting off with Riverwise Augur. This is a 4 CMC, 1 blue, 3 colorless. This is a Merfolk Wizard. It's a 2/2. And it says, when Riverwise Augur enters the battlefield, draw 3 cards, then put 2 cards from your hand on top of your library in any order. Interesting. This seems like a really nice way, when you play it on turn 4, of just, fixing your draws. And just sort of it's obviously going to allow you to, replace 3 cards. So this is, I think this is really good for mid-game just gas. What do you guys think?
I like this card. It's basically Brainstorm on a body. This is especially good for Merfolk because of the Explore mechanic. You can set up Explore perfectly. You can put some lands on top of your deck if you want, and then trigger some Explore. So if that's what you want to do, that's pretty good. Explore gives you a counter if it's a creature, or if it's a non-land, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can do that. That's what I meant, was actually put a creature on top or whatever, other than a land, and then you can get your Explore mechanic going off. So I think it's a pretty good creature. I would definitely play this if I pulled it. Yeah. Drawing 3 cards, always good.
So this would be a great target to even bounce it, right? So
Absolutely.
that you get that effect again. That's excellent value. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I'll always be happy to play this in Merfolk. I draw this, and it always has a place in my deck. I'd give it about B minus.
Yeah, I'm just gonna give it a solid B.
I give it a B minus. The only reason to give it a B minus is the fact that it is 4 mana.
And it's a 2/2.
So there's the downfall, but it's a pretty good card. So yeah, floating between B and B minus.
Cool. We have next up we have Slippery Scoundrel. This is a 3 CMC, 1 blue, 2 colorless. This is a human pirate. It's a 2/2, and this is going to check for Ascend. And it also says, as long as you have City's Blessing, Slippery Scoundrel has hexproof and can't be blocked.
It's important to note that on a creature, Ascend is always checking.
Yeah.
So as soon as 10 permanents come into the battlefield, you get Ascend if you have a creature out on the board. It's always checking, no matter what.
Oh.
Yeah, it has this reminder text there. It just says if you control.
Yeah.
It doesn't say when it enters the battlefield.
So with instants and sorceries, that it checks when you cast them, but with creatures, it's not ETB. It's just if it's out on the board.
For some reason I thought that that you just simply had to time it right, that you had to actually play and then check, and then it wouldn't check again. But yeah, makes sense. Huh. All right. So yeah, this is 3 mana for a 2/2, and yeah, this has the potential. If you keep it on the board, it's just going to be even more of a problem for your opponent. So I'd probably rank this into probably C plus, B minus territory, just because it costs 3 for 2/2.
Yeah.
And yeah,
it's an expensive invisible stalker.
Yeah.
But it's a good card, like hexproof and unblockable. That's really good to have. However, of course, you have to have City's Blessing, and sometimes that can be hard to pull off. So a 3 mana 2/2. It's not the best, but the fact that you get hexproof and unblockable at some point, that's going to be very, very hard to deal with.
I think if you have this card in your deck, you're going to want a large treasure dinner.
True.
So you're going to want to get those treasures out to get more permanents, and get Ascend as fast as possible. Now, building around Ascend, you have to decide pretty early on whether you want to do that, whether it's in Merfolk, whether it's in Pirates, whether it's in Vampires. You're going to want token generation for the Ascend.
Yeah.
Whether that be generating Merfolk tokens, generating vampire tokens, or generating treasure tokens. You're just going to want to make sure that if you do pick an Ascend card, you're going to want to build around that.
I do think that out of all the tribes, dinosaurs would be the hardest thing to get Ascend.
I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
I think pirates and vampires would be the easier ones to get it off. Merfolk close second to those two, because Merfolk does have token generation, but it's more prominent in pirates and in vampires. With pirates, it's different because you're trying to get treasure, but you're able to make a lot of treasure, so it's pretty easy.
Yeah, and I just think if you look at all the dinosaur cards that have been released in Rivals of Ixalan, if you do go dinos, you're going to be wanting to build around Enrage instead of Ascend. I think Ascend is primarily built for pirates with treasure gen or vampires with token gen.
Interesting. So so that's a B- to or like C+. Yeah.
Yeah,
C+. Yeah.
Right.
I would rate it. Yeah.
I give it a B minus, only because the ability that it gets is so good.
Yeah.
But I can see where you'd get a C from that because it's again a 2/2 for 3.
Yeah. Right on. Next up, we have Expel from Araska. This is a 2 CMC instant, 1 blue, 1 colorless, and this is once again a Ascend Matters card or City's Blessing Matters card. This says return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If you have the City's Blessing, you may put that permanent on top of its owner's library instead. That's this is a really decent tempo play. I think this is really excellent. Especially, you could even target one of those legendary enchantments.
You can bounce your own creatures if you have some cool ETB effects.
Yeah, you can save your own creatures. You can screw them over by doing it.
Very versatile.
Yeah, and the Ascend mechanic there does say may. So if you do it to yourself, you're not totally screwing yourself over.
Yep.
I guess a B to a B+.
Yeah, definitely.
Sick. All right, next up we have Curious Obsession. This is a 1 blue.
Love this card.
This is a enchantment aura. So this goes on a creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. At the beginning of your end step, if you didn't attack with a creature this turn, you have to sacrifice Curious Obsession. So when you put this on one of your creatures, it's essentially going to have, that clause right on it that you're going to want to put this on one of your creatures that can almost swing with impunity. So either on evasive creature or,
And that's the thing, though. Like, if you're playing this card, you most likely have a lot of evasive creatures. So that clause at the end there is barely even a clause. Like, you're even only spending 1 mana. So if this does get sacrificed, it's not going to hurt you.
There's a really good Merfolk this set, 1/1 unblockable, and there's a lot of early flyers with pirates as well. Just a lot of ways to get this into play and attacking.
Yeah, to me, this is just a better Curiosity. Of course, Curiosity doesn't have the clause at the end there, but you're also not getting +1/+1. So this, to me, just a better Curiosity.
Awesome. So I guess probably B to B+ area?
When it comes to uncommons, I would give this an A. To be honest, I really like this card.
Especially when we consider that it's just simply going to net you cards. It's just fantastic value. So probably A- to A.
1 mana, A. Yep.
Awesome. Next up, we have Aquatic Incursion. This is a 4 CMC enchantment. 1 blue, 3 colorless. When Aquatic Incursion enters the battlefield, you're going to get 2 1/1 blue Merfolk creature tokens with hexproof. That's... and it also has a activated ability for 4. Once again, you can make one of your target Merfolks unblockable this turn. Pretty... I think this is a really nice utility enchantment.
I think it's strictly better than Deep Root Waters, to be honest with you. Deep Root Waters 4 mana, and you have to cast a Merfolk spell to get a Merfolk token. This one, you're getting 2 right away, and I would play this over Deep Root Waters every single time. I think it's just a strictly a better card to get those Merfolk tokens out on the battlefield. And if you're going to try to get Ascend with Merfolk, this is a card you're going to want to play.
Yeah.
I agree with you when it comes to a limited setting. In a standard setting, though, Deep Root Waters, when we see the 1-drops and 2-drops of Merfolk that are in the set, I think that the Deep Root Waters is a much better card because you're casting super cheap Merfolk. But again, like in Unlimited, this is definitely a lot better because you're getting a benefit right away from playing it instead of having to wait.
Yeah.
Where it could be destroyed. So this is getting you three permanents into play, so it helps with the ascends. So yeah, it's not a bad card at all.
Because it's 4 CMC, and its ability is also going to take some time to actually set up and allow you to just sort of like swing in with some of your larger merfolk creatures. So I'd probably give this just a flat C or a C plus grade.
Yeah, I don't even think that second or that ability there, the activated ability, is that useful in Merfolk because a lot of your Merfolk are already unblockable on their own, or there's some other creature that you have that gives them unblockable, right? Like the Herald of Streams.
Herald of Secret Streams.
Streams, yeah.
Well, if you have there's some situational utility to this card. If you have one of the Curious Obsession cards in your hand, play this down. Next turn, you can play the Curious Obsession and then not have to sack it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just, but I would give it a C plus.
All right, moving on. We have Flood of Recollection. This is a 2 blue, so 2 CMC, double blue, sorcery. And this reads, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. And then you have to exile Flood of Recollection. So this is not going to go to your, the sorcery itself doesn't go to your graveyard. So that kind of matters when you have Search for Azcanta. It's basically instant or sorcery or sorcery recursion in double blue. Probably C minus.
Yeah, this isn't like a pack one pick one at all. This would be a late pick. Maybe if you end up finding an instant or sorcery that is a bomb that you're gonna play. Yeah, I could see playing this because then you can play it twice. But it's nothing too special.
This might have some utility in constructed, but I don't think I would ever play this in limited. It very rarely makes the cut for my deck.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give this probably D plus.
yeah, I give it a D plus.
Yeah, same here.
All right. Next up, we have another instant called Hornswoggle. This is another piratey word. I guess this is like the blue version of swashbuckling or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, this is 3 CMC, 2 colorless, and 1 blue. And this says counter target creature spell. You create a colorless treasure artifact token. So yeah, it's basically a counter spell, but only for creature spells, and you're going to basically get a treasure token.
I like this card. In limited, it's very good. Most of the time, you're just going to be worrying about countering creatures anyways.
Yeah.
So this is just a good card to have.
And you get a permanent out of it.
You get a permanent out of it, so again, helps with Ascend if that's what you're trying to do. If you're playing a pretty aggro pirate deck, though, this probably would make the cut. But if you find yourself in some sort of mid-rangey or control deck, this is definitely an amazing card.
B minus.
Yeah, B minus sounds about right.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Moving on to Secrets of the Golden City. This is a 3 CMC, double blue, 1 colorless, sorcery. This is once again another City's Blessing Matters card. It just simply draw 2 cards, and if you have the City's Blessing, you're going to draw 3 instead. I think this is huge for limited. I think it's like drawing 3 cards is really good. Drawing 2 cards is also good. I'm a little wary though because it does have double blue in its casting cost, so it's a little harder to cast. What do you guys think?
I like this card a lot. It may even see play in standard due to control. I can see control getting 10 permanents really easily. You know, the game's going to go on for a while, so they'll end up getting it through lands and through planeswalkers or some other means. So getting 3 cards with this will be pretty easy. The only downside is it is a sorcery, so control is very reactive, so you're not going to be able to do this at the end of their turn. So that's a downfall. But in limited, this is a pretty strong card.
probably a solid B.
Yeah, I give it a B.
Yep.
All right, moving on, we have Silvergill Adept, and this is a 2 mana Merfolk Wizard, 1 blue, 1 colorless, and this is a 2/1 Piker. However, as an additional cost to cast this creature, you have to reveal a Merfolk card from your hand or pay 3 more mana of any color. And when it enters the battlefield, you basically can draw 1 card. Obviously, you're not going to play this if you're not into the heavy Merfolk tribe. I think this is good because it you play it and you draw 1 extra card, right? So that has a lot of value. I'd probably give this a B to a B plus.
Yeah, I'm actually leaning really close to A minus.
Yeah.
Just because you're playing this in Merfolk, so you're gonna probably only play it for 2. And it's funny how many people called this card coming out before the set was spoiled because they knew that Merfolk was coming back and they want to see some of the modern cards be reprinted. So we didn't see a Lord of Atlantis or anything like that, but Silvergill Adept is a great card to bring back. Out of all the 2/1 Pikers in this set, this is an amazing card because you're getting to draw. So it's a 2-mana draw card. Get a Merfolk on the battlefield. So.
And if you do have a chance to go to the Magic Open House and you bring a friend, you can get a full art promo of this card for free. So yeah, at the time of recording this, I believe it's like tomorrow. So basically like Saturday, the weekend of January 6th and 7th. So yeah, go to your local LGS and bring a friend, introduce them to Magic. Or even someone who's looking to get back into Magic. You can just take advantage and get yourself some of these awesome reprints.
Get them on that cardboard crack.
That's right. All right. Moving on, we have Siren Reaver. This is a 4 CMC Siren Pirate. It only, it's basically 3 colorless and 1 blue. It has a raid trigger. It's a 3/2. And it'll cost 1 less to cast if you actually attacked with a creature this turn. And it has flying.
We with the White Flower, we were happy to play a 2/2 for 4. This is a 3/2 for 4 that could potentially be a 3/2 for 3 with flying. B plus for me. I would always put this in. I would even blue pirates. I would even throw it in. Merfolk deck if I needed. If I needed a flyer in a Merfolk deck. Great card. I would always include it.
Yeah, I totally on board with that. With that rating, B plus to an A minus for me.
Yeah, because in Pirates you're mostly swinging pretty constantly anyways, so raid trigger is pretty easy to pull off. You'll see a lot of pirates with the raid trigger. So yeah, I'll give it a solid B.
Nice. Moving on, we have a reprint from the first half of the set. It's Sailor of Means. It's once again, it's a 3 CMC, 1 blue, 2 colorless human pirate. It has a 1/4 body, and it's going to give you 1 treasure token when it enters the battlefield. This is pretty good for if you are looking to gain the City's Blessing. This is pretty solid. Helps you ramp and color fix. So for limited, I would probably just give it a solid B to a B minus.
It's got a big butt too, so
yeah,
big booty. If we're gonna make puns about pirates, but yeah, so it'll be a good blocker for you at 3 mana, and yeah, so it creates another permanent. You get 2 permanents for that cost. If you're really trying to get it ascend, like Parker said, I would include it in the deck for treasure gen.
The only I find this card a little weird for Pirates because it's a 1/4. A lot of Pirates you're trying to swing a lot, and this isn't a swinger. But this is a great card if you're playing any sort of control. You're gonna want to put this card in the deck because again, it's a 1/4 big body creature, so it can hold off the attacks. It could see play in a pirate deck that's pretty aggro, but that's probably something I'd cut early on if I had the choice.
Would you ever go Grixis Pirates in limited and try and do 3 colors? Because I mean, if you really think about it, there are really excellent uncommons in that are printed as gold cards, and there's even Beckett Brass.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, with all the treasure, it's pretty pretty possible to go 3 colors. If you're trying to go aggro, I probably would stay away from going 3 colors. But if you're kind of mid-rangey or whatever, then 3 colors isn't so bad. You can pull that off.
Right on. Cool. So moving on, we have a Merfolk warrior called Mist Cloaked Herald. It's 1 blue for a 1/1 that can never be blocked.
Great card, especially with all the counters you can get in Merfolk. I'll play as many of these as I can get.
I would err on the side of caution of putting enchantments on this thing. You're gonna want to, but with the
Instant speed removal.
the dealing 1 damage to each creature and stuff like that, it's gonna be a little spooky doing that. However, if you do have that Curiosity enchantment, it's now a 2/2, so it does help. It's a great card, but just be careful putting anything on it.
And you also have to consider that just because you have an enchantment that gives a +1/+1, you still have some enraged dinosaurs that even deal 2 every single time that they're enraged. So also be cautious of that, right?
Exactly.
I'm just because it's like 1 mana and it's a 1/1 that can't be blocked, I'm gonna just probably give this a solid B- to a B.
Yeah, I'd give it a B.
Right on. Next up, we have Waterknot, and this is another sort of like arrest style enchantment for 3 CMC, double blue in its casting cost. And when it enters the battlefield, you're going to tap enchanted creature, and it will never untap during its controller's untap step as long as the enchantment stays on it. This is sort of like Claustrophobia, but with a aquatic twist. I'm going to probably give this probably C+ to B-.
Yeah, I would give it just a C. You'd probably only play this in one of those control decks. I wouldn't ever put this in aggro pirates or even mid-range pirates. It's just too slow. But it does have its place in a deck, so yeah, I'm gonna give it a C.
Yeah, there's a lot of enchantment hate in the set, like we pointed out earlier, and given the choice between a card that taps and a card that exiles, I would prefer to exile.
Yeah, true enough.
Yeah, and the white one says it can't attack or block, right? So this one says doesn't untap during its controlled untap step. So if you untap it by other means, it can then swing.
Yeah.
Whereas the white one, it can't swing if it's untapped.
Yeah, true enough. Yeah, and you even have creatures that like untap when you gain life, right? So, there are better ways of, hard removal is just like way, way, way better. And I mean, there are just like better arrests. All right, so next up we have Sworn Guardian. This is a 2 CMC, 1 blue, 1 colorless Merfolk warrior, and it's just a 1/3 with just like vanilla text.
Bad card. I would never play that. I just wouldn't put it in my deck.
What was the 1/3 flyer in white? I rarely even played that vampire, and that had flying, had evasion for 2 mana, and this is just strictly worse. No flying. I probably wouldn't play this unless I really needed. Pack 3 in a draft where all my 2 creatures, and this comes, sitting on my plate. I could pick it then, but
I'd probably just splash in something else that I don't have any other color for, just out of spite. I don't want to play this card.
Fair enough.
All right, so moving on, we're on to Spirewinder. This is a 4 mana, 1 blue, 3 colorless. It's a flying snake with Ascend. This is a 2/3, and it's going to get an extra +1/+1 if you have the City's Blessing. This is pretty good. 4 mana for what could potentially be a 3/4 flyer. I mean, it doesn't support any sort of tribe. I guess that's really the only downside.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a flying. It's not a dinosaur, even though it looks like every other dinosaur on the plane. Okay. Like, I don't understand why they did that, but
I gave the snake feathers.
Yeah.
It's fine that dinosaurs have feathers, but snakes are reptiles, so.
And it has wings, so like.
It's weird, yeah. It's
the heck?
very, very weird. If anything, it should have, like leathery bat wings.
Yeah.
Mechanic wise, though, it's a decent card. You know, like 2/3 flyer for 4.
And it can grow.
It could be a 3/4. Yeah. We probably won't ever see it beyond that, other than maybe putting that Curiosity enchantment on there.
Yeah.
You're never gonna name Snake for Vanquisher's Banner or whatever. So
Yeah. So maybe a solid C.
yeah, C,
You see.
Awesome.
maybe C plus.
Yeah, it is. It is a 2/3 flyer for 4. So
Love
yeah,
me flyers.
yeah, C plus.
All right, moving on to Soul of the Rapids. This is a 5 mana double blue and 3 colorless elemental, flying and hexproof with a 3/2 body. The fact that it's hexproof is probably the biggest upside of this card, but I still think that I don't know. I'm gonna have to give this something like a C minus or once again, it's a C creature for me.
If we're talking about elementals, I'd rather play the air elemental from Ixalan.
Yeah.
And that's also 5 mana. And yeah, no, I just I like it, and I like the hexproof. But 3/2, that ouch, that kind of hurts.
I think that the creature is a little underestimated here because hexproof is really strong, especially because we got to remember that there's enchantments that we want to play.
Yeah.
Like that Curiosity one is so good, and this is the kind of creature you want it on. Like, if you put that on this creature, it's set. Like, it's gonna be a 4/3 flyer, hexproof. It's not leaving. It's gonna stick around for quite a while. And if you're playing blue and you do find yourself up against a bigger flyer somehow, bounce it, tap it, whatever. So
Well, what about the fact that there are global enraged dealing damage to everything?
on its own as a 3/2, yeah, it could die. However, I do think the Forerunner one does say something about non-flying creature, so it could avoid that. So when it comes to global damage, dealing 2 or 3,
It also would die to a fiery cannonade. It would die to.
That's true.
It would die to there's a lot of you get that dinosaur tutor out, and then get some reduced mana cost dinosaurs, get 2 out on 1 turn. It would die to that. There are a few things that make me hesitate to want to rate this too highly. I'll put it in my deck. I'll play it.
Yeah,
But,
I would play it too, but I think I'm gonna probably have a hard time giving it anything larger than C plus for a grade. Sorry, we cut you off.
no, absolutely. Like, I understand where you guys are coming from. For me, it's hard to give it a B, but when it comes to putting bombs in your deck, this is something I put in there as a high, CMC creature.
Yeah.
Especially in blue. Like, you're gonna have a hard time finding creatures around this CMC that are effective, and I think this is just where it needs to be. It's a 3/2 hexproof flying, so I will be happy playing this creature.
So I guess Fiery Cannonade is really the only easy way of getting rid of this thing, right?
I can't remember what that card does.
Fiery Cannonade is 2 damage to each non-pirate.
Okay, yeah, okay. That makes sense. Sweltering Suns in a standard setting would also...
Yeah.
You wouldn't play this in standard, though,
No.
so it doesn't really matter.
I might even play a fiery cannonade in a dinosaur deck with all the enraged triggers.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, so I can't give this anything higher than C plus, personally. I don't know about you guys.
C+, yeah, I can see that.
C plus is fair.
All right, moving on. We got Kite Sail Corsair. This is a 2 mana, 1 blue and 1 colorless. This is a human pirate, and has flying as long as as long as you're turning it sideways and attacking with it. It's going to have flying. This is good for raid.
Yeah, no, this is... That clause there is barely a clause. Again, with pirates, you're swinging a lot, so it only having flying on attacking is just great. It's a 2 mana 2/1 flyer, so I love it.
I think the art's hilarious.
Yeah.
Especially the legs from here. It looks like it's just a midget with cobbled wings.
Little person, Michael. Little
Sorry,
person.
yeah, you should be
Okay, so
easy about that. Yeah.
solid B.
Yeah, B for sure.
Awesome. All right, moving on. We have Crashing Tide. This is a 3 mana, 1 blue, 2 colorless sorcery, and it's gonna have flash as long as you control a merfolk.
He did it. The madman. A sorcery flash.
Yeah. Return target creature to its owner's hand and draw a card.
Good card. That's a good card right
This
there.
is a fantastic card if you want to keep your merfolk alive. or even just bounce one of your opponent's creatures off the battlefield at the end of their turn, or even before combat. If you have a Merfolk on the field, it's going to replace itself, and it's also a tempo play too. That's fantastic. So this is I'm going to give this probably a solid A as a like really awesome combat trick. Has a lot of utility.
I'm gonna give it a B plus. I would like to give it an A minus, but it is 3 mana.
Sorry, did you say combat trick?
Yeah, because it's going to have flash as long as you have a Merfolk.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah. The cantrip is really nice. The only downfall is yes, you have to play Merfolk for it to be instant. So
Yeah, that might make things a little harder to like when it comes to deck construction, because but remember, it is printed at common rarity, so there's probably going to be a lot of chances to pick this up in your pool.
Oh, fair enough. Okay.
Next up, we have Deadeye Rig Hauler. This is a 4 mana, 1 blue, 3 colorless human pirate. It's a 3/2 with a raid trigger. When it enters the battlefield, and you obviously attacked with it or with some creature this turn, you get to return a target creature to its owner's hand. So this is pretty good. It has a 3/2 body for 4 mana, but I think the raid trigger is what makes this pretty useful. Especially if you're up against like pirates, if you are up against dinosaurs, or even some merfolk or even vampires. This is pretty useful in limited. Probably I'm looking at something like probably a B minus for me.
I would give it a B minus or a C plus. The raid trigger, it being on enter the battlefield, means that if you're facing dinosaurs, you have to swing at them first for the trigger to go off, right? So you might lose some creatures in the meantime if you're trying to bounce one of the creatures. So it being beneficial to bounce one of the things is coming at a cost. But that's definitely dependent on if you have any flying pirates or whatever, or any sort of evasion.
And if you're going pirates, you probably will. So
yeah, so it's definitely a possibility. It being a 3/2, it's not bad. 4 mana, a little costly, but it's a pretty decent card.
Next up, we have Negate. This is obviously this is a pretty common card in Magic. This is a 2 mana, 1 blue, 1 colorless instant, and it's counter target non-creature spell. This is obviously you're never going to put this in your main board unless you're going heavy control. Counter spells that are cheap like this. What do you guys like? What do you think?
I mean, it's better than a lot of the counters in this set, or sorry, in Ixalan, where you could counter something, and if they paid mana, they could counter your counter. I play this over that, but generally in limited, I hesitate to play counter spells. So if I find that if my opponent is playing a heavy non-creature deck, like a heavy sorceries, instants, enchantments, I will sideboard it in, but probably wouldn't make my main deck unless I'm going like heavy control.
Yeah, I don't think I would ever main deck this, even in control, mostly because everyone's doing that 17-6 split, right? So it's not going to see too much value, if any, first game. But if someone's playing one of those enchantments that turn into lands or anything like that, it's so valuable having this in your sideboard. There's just a lot of things that this can hit, right? Because non-creature means anything but creature, and there's so many other types of cards out there. So Negate is a really strong counterspell. It's been around the block a lot of times. Always useful to have in your sideboard.
Yeah, you don't want this to take up one of your 7 non-creature spell slots. Sideboard only. Yeah, so just like a C minus to a C.
Yeah.
Next up, we have River Darter. This is a 3 CMC, 1 blue, 2 colorless Merfolk Warrior. It's a 2/3, and it can't be blocked by dinosaurs. Really cool art on this card. Would you put this in your main deck?
No. I love the card, but I wouldn't put it in the main deck. It's strictly a sideboard card against dinosaurs. Once you put it in your deck against dinosaurs, it's a very good card. So I'm going to give it a B, but it has a clause, and it stays in the sideboard until game 2.
I also like the flavor text on this card is like it's really nice too.
That is pretty good.
Don't make splashes, make progress. Yeah, pretty solid body, but yeah, like just like Desmond said, this is probably a sideboard card that you're going to side in against an opponent who's going heavy dinosaurs. So probably C to a C plus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd agree. It's only really good against dinosaurs, and then I probably wouldn't want to play it otherwise. So C plus, B minus.
All right, last up in the commons and uncommons for blue, we have Sea Legs. And this is a 1 blue aura enchantment. It has flash, that's a definite plus. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets a +0/+2 as long as it's a pirate. Otherwise, it gets -2/-0. That's really really interesting. I wouldn't put this in the in your main deck. Obviously, it's more sideboard tech for me. But I like how you can. There's quite a versatility here in that you can either put it on your own on your own pirates to increase the survivability of maybe one of your pikers who just happens to be a pirate, one of your evasive pirates. But you can also kind of like mess up someone's combat with this.
I think you're undervaluing it. I'll put it in my deck, especially if I'm going pirates. Pirates have low like smaller butts and high attack scores, and if a lot of times if somebody swings in and you're blocking with one of your pirates, a lot of times people are going to think, oh, he's just going to trade that pirate, right? They're trying to get rid of your pirate, and then suddenly, oh no, suddenly your pirate has a +2 bigger butt. And you destroy their creature. I think it has a lot of utility in terms of like if you want to buff, bluff, and I think you're undervaluing it a little bit. I'll give it a B minus.
So I guess this is like something that can really trip someone up and catch them off guard. So yeah, like you convinced me. Like I guess I would probably value it as like a B or a B plus combat trick.
I find it hard to want to mainboard this, but it really depends on what other up to like 6 non-creature spells you're putting in your deck. If there's room for it, sure, but I think it's really good against any sort of red deck that has those 2 damage to everything or whatever, 1 damage to everything. This might save one of your creatures that you really want to save, but then also if you're facing red, it might be good to throw on one of their creatures to hinder them. So I would want to play it in my main board, but it really depends on what other non-creature spells I'm getting. So I'm going to give it a B minus.
Right on. So that wraps up the blue color. So we're going to move on to black next. So catch us then. And yeah, see you then.